Welcome to the season finale of Pass the Power with Paige Parker, recorded in LA with the incredible Cassandra Bankson, famously known as the Acne Big Sister. Cassandra transformed her struggle with severe acne as a model into a powerful journey as a top skinfluencer. She's renowned for her upfront and sometimes saucy educated reviews, guiding us to make informed skincare choices. She even looks at a couple of my products with one yay and the other a polite nay. Join as Cassandra opens up on her struggles, her path to self-acceptance, and the unstoppable power of perseverance. You'll love this inspiring conversation as we pass the power one episode at a time. I am here in LA with skinfluencer Cassandra Bankson. I say Cassandra because I'm from the South, but I heard you introduce yourself as Cassandra.
One day I was in third grade and they asked us to find out where our names came from. So I said, Mom, Dad, is my name Cassandra? Where'd it come from? Is it Cassandra or Cassandra? And they looked at each other, they shrugged, and they said, however you want to pronounce it. So I joke that I don't have a name. Whatever you like to say is fine.
Okay, well, I'm going to call you Cassandra. I'm so happy to have you here with me. And I must say, when I found out you were coming on the podcast, because we've been focusing on content creation, I just stalked you. And I was so inspired by what you do because you became an
esthetician. Yes.
Esthetician.
Yes.
And you bring such knowledge to it. And knowledge is power. And I've never really thought too much about what are in my products. But I want to begin with you calling yourself the Acne Big Sister on your platforms and how you're a model, you had acne. And can you just tell us your personal journey and what led you to become a skincare influencer?
Being the daughter of immigrants and a mom who rides motorcycles and has dirt up to her knees, I never was interested in beauty. But when I started to get acne, especially in middle school and high school, I started to look in the mirror and not recognize the person I saw. And especially coupled with the bullying, being called freak of nature, pizza face, I started craving human connection and craving to be wanted, to be liked, to hang out with the popular people. And the popular people always seemed to be pretty. So it honestly led me down this path of very superficial beauty chasing. How do I wear the right designer clothes? How do I look right? At one point, I was in $80,000 worth of credit card debt because I was trying to buy my way to popularity. It didn't work.
What age was that?
This was probably 16, 17. Just got that credit card, right? And I started quickly learning that some of the people that I respected the most, they had valuable things to share with the world. It wasn't just because they looked a certain way. And to be honest, Paige, I was at a low point. I was covering my skin with makeup every day. That's the only way I was able to walk out the front door. But I hated the person I was. And I was like, I'm either going to end it or I'm going to figure out what's causing this acne. And I ended up starting to learn about the skin, about the biology, about the chemistry of our products. How cool is it that life is built on these fundamental properties? And that gave me a purpose beyond myself. Because maybe there's a young girl out there who's struggling with acne and doesn't know that these ingredients literally come from a specific plant and are medically proven to help. So I started sharing that online. Never expected it to take off. But it did. And eventually that gave me the confidence to take my makeup off too.
When did you start sharing online?
I started sharing online in 2009, before YouTube was a thing. It was terrifying because it was this secret community. And I remember I was sitting on my parents' living room floor filming a Victoria's Secret makeup tutorial. And I get this phone call from a girl named Allie. Hi, Cassandra, this is Allie from Good Morning America. Robin Roberts wants to speak to you. And I said, what's Good Morning America? What's a Robin Roberts? 12 hours later, I was in New York. It was 4 a.m. for me in my brain because of jet lag. And my biggest insecurity and all of my acne was being put out to the entire world. It took this safe little beauty community that I had built and exposed it to everyone. And it was the worst, best thing I've ever done. Because it forced me to show up and be comfortable with my acne in my skin, forced me to start learning more about it. But it also gave me the confidence to kind of strip that makeup off in front of others and say, this is how I show up in the world, and you don't get to speak to me in a disparaging way because of it.
Are you on your way to becoming a dermatologist?
That is the goal. I've had to take a little pause because content creation has really taken off, which is fantastic. I'm still honored that I get to speak with some of the best doctors and derms and work with them. That's still in the cards, but I also think that social media and entrepreneurship right now is in a golden age, and I don't want to miss that.
I noticed with your content that it is about obviously entertaining or no one's going to watch, but there's so much education that goes into it. And this whole idea of cruelty-free, animal-free, so many of the names of things that I'm not supposed to be putting on my face. It really made me think, wow, Paige, you need to look at the ingredients a bit more. So that's your main push, is educating women, correct?
Yes, I would say it's the triple E. It's educate, entertain, and empower. When I was a young girl, or for many young girls, they're not looking for how do I show up in the world and make a difference. It's more, how do I get clear skin?
I think clear skin is going to be in forever.
There's, I think, an evolutionary bias to that. I look at people with acne and I don't see them as ugly. For a long time, I saw myself that way. But I think evolutionarily, think about cavemen, right? If they saw someone with spots on their skin, it could be polio or a staph infection. That could be dangerous. Don't eat the red berries. Don't touch the person with leprosy. And I think that there is, unfortunately, a psychological bias to that. But if we understand it and discuss it, we don't have to be overwhelmed by it, and we can get around that bias or that stigma.
Well, one of the cool things that has happened for teenagers now is there are all these, I don't know the names of them, but these little dots and stars that they put on their face to cover up the pimples. I think, and now it's cool. It's like liberating.
I wish that I had the products to do that when I was younger, to embrace my acne as opposed to make it feel like something dirty.
Right. Well, we don't have them in Singapore. So whenever I come to the U.S., I go straight to Target, and I buy all the cute little stickers and all the different ones to take to my daughter who's, oh, she's going to die that I'm saying this, but she's almost 16. And with that age comes pubescence and challenges. She doesn't get enough sleep because she's studying a lot, so it's tough.
And it's hard because especially at 16, you're forming your identity. You're trying out different personalities and friend groups, trying to see who you are. And I think that's why makeup is so empowering. People look at it and they're like, oh, so superficial, makeup beauty. If I can feel confident in makeup, sit down and speak with you, I can harness that confidence and realize that's in me even when I'm not wearing the makeup.
And the truth is it does cover you, but I try not to wear it as a shield. But I tried one time making the flight from Singapore to New York without it because it's an 18-hour flight. And truly, it felt wrong because I'm so used to having on a little bit of coverage, and I think as we get older, we worry even more. So now I put the coverage on, and it's not to cover, but I guess it's to give me a bit of courage.
Yeah, a little confidence. Can I give you a medical esthetician opinion? Of course, we're with some really pretty lights. Your skin is glowing, though. Aww. I don't know if it's genetics, if it's your products, if it's the weather in Singapore, but you have amazing skin.
Well, Singapore weather is certainly better than the U.S.
Yeah.
For my skin because of all the hydration, which is...
And just the quality of water and food, I think, too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in talking more about the connection between mental health and skincare.
I think when I started sharing online, one of my biggest goals was to change the world in a positive way and see my skin condition and other people's experiences reflected in media. I didn't grow up with TV. I was told to go outside, climb a tree, play with mud. But when I started seeing TV ads and magazine ads, it was all of these women that just looked stereotypically like perfect, right? But when I went in the real world, I saw friends or teachers or mentors who were absolutely beautiful, but they had sunspots or melasma spots. They had acne. They had different hair textures and skin color. And I was like, why am I not seeing this as the main character arc in this movie that's playing on a screen? I believe in a world where media actually is representative of who we are, of our stories. I believe in a world where we're represented by our media. So those skin stories or featuring people in our content is our way of showing people who are watching now YouTube and social media and TikTok as their main form of content, here's people who look like you, or here's people that look different than you, but are still beautiful, even if they're not what the magazines showed us 10 years ago.
And as a content creator, do you think this is a really good way to engage your fans, your followers?
I do. I believe that attention, it's a finite commodity. We don't have a lot of it. Everyone's begging for it. And if someone is going to give me the privilege of giving me their attention, again, I want to make sure they walk home with information that they can apply and with a new perspective on the world and on themselves. And they had a little chuckle throughout the day too.
What is your main demographic?
It does vary per platform, but in general, it's college-educated women around the ages of 25 to 35.
And I wonder, how do you decide how much education to put in your content over entertainment? Because you have such a great personality and your humor comes through and all that you do, but you can also get pretty specific and drop names of things. And I was like, oh God, I need a pen to write that down. What was that? So how do you decide how much to educate while still entertaining us?
Excellent question, Paige. there are these great things called retention graphs in content. And if anyone has a social media post, like go look at the retention. You can essentially see how many people were watching at 30 seconds at a minute. And I have noticed that, when we go into the Krebs cycle, that retention tanks, right? So it's difficult. How, like a teacher, do I make sure that this information is not only correct and factual, but entertaining enough to be consumed and garner that attention? The best way is through either storytelling or making up funny jokes. When I talk about the acne bacteria that actually causes breakouts, I talk about it like a party.
One of the things you said earlier on in that was about you want to make sure that it's truthful what you're saying. And everybody now is an influencer. Everybody can get on and say XYZ. And you have a lot of people talking about skincare, and they really don't know what they're talking about. So does that worry you? I mean, I guess people come to you because they know that you are educated and you are offering real, genuine content that is worthy. But if you have a pretty face and she's talking about the skincare, but it's not good skincare.
I do believe that every opinion is valid, every experience is valid, even if every opinion is not right. And that's why I believe it's important for people to be critical of their media. Even when I'm reviewing like a celebrity routine, people want to see what the celebrity is using. I'll never speak badly about that person, but I will say if a product they're using sucks and it's visibly irritating their skin, let's talk about those ingredients so we understand it. I do have credentials to back that up. There are some people with many more credentials than me. There are also some people that have no credentials but have valid experiences. But what I recommend to others is fact check, like be a critic and a skeptic.
I saw one of your videos and you were talking about Hailey Bieber's expensive skincare routine. I think it was, what was the monetary value?
Well, one of the devices was like $250. I think the routine total was almost $1,000 to do on a weekly or monthly basis. Great for Hailey Bieber, but for a 16-year-old girl, that might not be the best aspiration.
You would offer them kind of less expensive products to do the exact same thing, correct?
Again, as someone who was in $80,000 worth of credit card debt and had an issue with shoplifting that I opened up about and overcame, now to a point where I make, we make $1 million plus in revenue just by creating content. I want
Say
young
that again?
Girls, we make over $1 million a year.
When you say we, who's we?
Myself, and then the team that I run and operate. And It's great, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But it's such a different mindset because, I have no problem showing up wearing things from Amazon that make me feel good. Whereas a lot of young girls, including younger me, would go out thinking that this designer brand name or this designer cosmetic was the only thing that would work. And listen, if you love an expensive product because it makes you feel good or it reminds you of nostalgic, something that a mom or a mentor used, absolutely go use it. But for most 15, 16-year-old girls, for most 24-year-old girls in college who are struggling with their skin, they shouldn't look at a celebrity and think, I need to spend $1,000 a week on this product to look like her. It should be, I deserve to feel good in my skin, to take care of it. And if I want to do that on a budget so I can put money away for an entrepreneurial endeavor, for retirement, just for, an outing with my friends, I don't have to go into debt to be able to have comfortable experiences in my skin.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about was this whole drunk elephant craze. I mean, I had no idea that this was going on, where they're going and making slime.
Yes.
Paige,
that's the perfect way to put it, yes.
Can you educate me?
All right. So there is this trend of Sephora Kids, which refers to essentially young, entitled, usually unsupervised children using their parents' money to buy products that are on average $60 to $100 each. And they're going into stores and they are, as you said, creating slime. They are mixing testers with other testers and leaving quite the mess on store shelves, looking like a playground or a biohazard. And for other people who actually want to come in and shop and swatch a product, they're being spoken to rudely by these kids. I've had kids kick each other in front of me. People run into me. I thought it was a rumor, so I went to 5 Sephoras and I checked. It's happening. And I have some theories as to why, but...
No, I saw you say, you were like, where are the parents?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get away with that. And I think that it's a combination of multiple things. I think the younger generation is seeing people do their makeup online and their skincare. They want to be involved in it. But I also think that since the pandemic, a lot of parents have struggled to raise children. It gets harder every year. And a lot of kids didn't have real world experience because of the pandemic. So how are they supposed to walk into the world and realize, oh, this is a Sephora shelf at someone else's property? This isn't my kitchen.
But we weren't taught that. We just knew.
I'd like to believe so, Paige. But it's crazy. Have you been to like retail stores in person recently? Like it's a little intense.
I've been to Sephora and I've been to Target, yeah. And they're always packed. Well, Sephora is always packed.
Yeah. Have you noticed 10 years ago versus now the demographic has shifted?
It's very young.
It's very young, and it wasn't like that 10 years ago. Yeah.
Well, recently I was at a wedding in Alabama and I saw a niece who's 11, and her face was just, I could not believe how much makeup she had on age 11. She had like better lashes than I do. 11.
Isn't that the truth? And it kind of begs this question, is there an age or a time that it's too young to start wearing makeup? I mean, if it's toddlers and tiaras, the lashes, the lipstick, it's fine. How do I allow my child to have that self-expression, to play around with makeup, this identity formation, not shut that down, but at the same time foster hygiene and foster that responsible consumption of both products and even social media content? It's rough.
Well, speaking of consumption, I brought some things I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, because these are two that I really love. So
Yes.
Augustina Bader and Barbara Sturm. Yay or nay?
Depends. So this Augustina Spotter's Rich Cream, I have spoken many times
I
about
use it at
how,
night.
yeah, it's such a good rich cream. It happens to be vegan and cruelty free. It is very
Oh, good.
expensive. Yes, it's actually got really good ingredients.
It's crazy
very
expensive.
But it works really well.
Yes, it
doesn't
does.
it? Yeah.
Yes, but it's crazy expensive.
Exactly. If you want less expensive options, they exist. But this is actually a really good product as long as you're okay with the price.
I'm not okay, but I feel like it works and it's worth it. And I haven't found anything that I think is better.
That is better. Keep
But
using it then.
if you give me a one that costs less that does the same thing, I'm on it.
I've got a few ideas, even a couple of fun things that your daughter might enjoy. Just for her to try out. And then Dr. Barbara Sturm, she's an amazing woman, but this is the perfect example of you can love, respect, and admire a person without necessarily loving their products. Are these the sun drops?
This is the calming
calming serum.
because I have rosacea.
Okay.
So these I find kind of help with the rosacea.
So rosacea is what's called a vascular skin condition. Does it usually get triggered for you with either alcohol consumption or the switch in weather, sun exposure?
Sun.
Yeah.
Sun's a big thing.
A lot of things can trigger it, and people often think that the solution is just using a different product. A lot of times it can actually be dietary. For rosacea, there's specifically an ingredient called azelaic acid. It comes from rye bread. It's like a skincare superhero. And
Rye bread?
It comes from rye bread, yeah. Our skin makes it naturally too, but salicylic acid is like a tiny little superhero. And if you have rosacea, you can get a prescription from a derm or use it over the counter. It's like $7. So good. $7.
I don't have anything going on my face that costs $7.
Okay, true, right? True. And that's where I think it gets tricky because it's like, it's so inexpensive. Is it cheap in quality? Is it bad for me? But some companies have just isolated that one ingredient. So for Dr. Barbara Sturm, that's not my favorite product. I would have to see if it has fragrances in it. But here's the other nuanced thing. If it's working for you, no need to switch it. But if you're like, hey, I use this thing or I have this cleanser in my routine, it's okay, but it's just not great, or I don't like the price, or the founder is someone that I don't, get along with.
Well, I think the fragrance is important because, I mean, I'm not scent a lot, but I'm scent some product, and I'm very careful about what I put on my face because I know it will react. And as soon as, if I open it and it smells like a florist, I'm like, I can't put this on my skin. I know it's going to burn, so I don't understand why they put fragrances in things that we're putting on our face.
You're like halfway to becoming a dermatologist. You're so right, Paige. Yeah. Like fragrances and skincare, they can be okay for some, but for a lot of people, they cause irritation. You're obviously extraordinarily well-versed in the world of entrepreneurship. Do you know about the Febreze effect?
No.
This actually gets into fragrance psychology and fragrance marketing. So fragrances have been medically proven to be linked to our sense of memory. And Febreze is one company among many that has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars researching fragrance. And they found that when they made cleaning products, people didn't feel like it was clean unless it had that smell.
It's like for me, it's Lemon Pledge.
Right.
Because when I was growing up, that's what was used in my house to clean.
Yes.
So when I smell Lemon Pledge, I'm like, oh, the house is clean.
Exactly. And people feel like it's not clean without it. And some fragrance manufacturers, they're actually called fragrance chemists. They will be specifically employed by some of these larger skincare brands to create a proprietary smell. And when someone opens up that cream, they're like, even though I know that I can get this cheaper from another brand and it works the same, this gives me that smell. It makes me feel moisturized or hydrated or good.
Well, quick question before we go away. Blistex?
Blistex!
Is this addictive? I am so addicted to this. I can't go without it.
Do you feel like when you put it on, it temporarily relieves and then the problem comes back?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever feel like you put it on and the problem actually goes away?
No, I have
No,
to go
yeah,
back to
yeah.
the Blistex.
So there are many lip conditions like angular cheilitis. I actually had a video that took off. It got over 100 million views or 100 million impressions. And it was talking about lip balms being addicting, right? You feel like you're putting them on. You just have to constantly reapply. If you're constantly reapplying a product and it's not solving the problem,
It's
it might
addictive.
not be the right product for you.
Okay, well, I'll have to search your socials to find the
I
lips.
can also share a few and
the
see,
lips.
things work differently here in LA where it's dry versus Singapore where it's really
I'm
humid.
headed back to Singapore, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to.
And
don't
I
have to
can't get
suitcase.
this in Singapore.
Really?
So again, it's Target all the way when I come to
Target.
the US,
Yeah.
getting all my Blistex. But I'm gonna stop this now that
we'll look at some alternatives.
you've made me realize it's addictive. I want to talk about your sunscreen, and I think it's such a beautiful. I watched the video, and it was such a long. I think took you 3 years in the making, and then you ended up using a red onion, but you wanted the sunscreen to be purple because your original formula was like a dirty brown. Can you tell us that whole journey, please, and why you did sunscreen?
Absolutely. So when it comes to skincare, the most essential steps are the cleanser, which is hygiene, and the sunscreen. When you think about it, sunscreen is a moisturizer plus an anti-cancer drug. Yes, it's great that sunscreen prevents against wrinkles and pigmentation spots and scarring, but it's really an anti-skin cancer medication, right? And you can, of course, use many steps in the middle, but it's important to not be overwhelmed and to use what works for you. So I knew that I wanted to create a skincare line. This was actually 5 years ago. And I worked for years with a venture capital firm trying to create this line. And Paige, this was my fault. I did that without a written contract.
Yeah.
We
were
did
you
it with an
thinking?
oral contract. I learned the hard way. And as a young entrepreneur, I didn't know better. And lo and behold, it turned into a situation where I had put in almost $100,000 of my own capital. I had put in time, effort, and expertise. And then we had one MVP, a viable product, and I was told might not be cruelty-free, but you're going to promote it like a billboard. They didn't think I was going to walk away, but my morals and values are more important. So I left. And that's when I realized doing this from scratch is nearly impossible. The time, the money, the expense. Why would I recreate the wheel when there's great skincare brands out there already? So what I did is I found my favorite sunscreen, which happened to be a watery sun gel. But I'm acne prone and oily. It's so good, but it was just a little too hydrating for me, and it wasn't perfect for my skin. So I reached out and I said, you guys are my favorite sunscreen. Can we please make a version of this that is acne friendly? And also, when I apply it, sometimes I miss right here. I'm an esthetician. I see so many people who miss around the eyes or the ears, and then they start to get burns. Can we make it color changing? Let's make it purple so people can see where they put it on their face.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, but then we wanted it to work for every skin tone. We wanted, the images to be of every single person, every skin color. And so, as you noted, it turned out brown at first because we tried to put in vitamin C, a great brightening ingredient, but it oxidizes. So we said, you know what, this isn't going to work. We ended up going with that Mulan red onion. Paige, I ate these onions like spicy apples.
I saw you eating them like apples on the video. I was going, that is disgusting.
It was a little special. It was a little spicy. But the onions, they're totally different. They're totally different. And even in different parts of Asia, the foods and the fruits that you guys have are just amazing. But so antioxidant rich, and these onions have vitamin C and phosphorus and other ingredients that didn't cause the product to change color. And we were able to, over the course of 3 years, really perfect this formula, work with what they had already found was working, use Korean filters, which are much more advanced than American filters, and create what I consider one of the most close to perfect purple protectors. And again, perfection doesn't exist. I believe in progress over perfection. But for my skin that's oily and acne prone, for anyone else who's put on sunscreen and it burns their eyes and it feels gross on the skin, people with acne deserve to have good products too.
So how much is it?
On sale, it's $11. But when it's not on sale, I think it's 15 to 22, depending on the retailer.
And where do you sell it?
So actually, fun fact, Paige, I don't personally sell it. I was paid to consult and to create content around it. But based on the management company that I was working with at the time, I actually don't get any royalties or any payment based on sales. And I should.
Are you serious?
Because we sold out in the first 20 hours.
Lesson
Sold out.
learned.
All the hard lessons learned, right? But I'm glad I did it because it's proof of concept. And it was a blue ocean opportunity. We needed this, right? So it's mainly sold on Amazon, on places like Style Korean, Style Vana, at least here in the US. And I think you can get it from Olive Young and a few other places. But
I love Olive Young.
yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I was there last October in Seoul, and I mean, it's amazing.
It is. And it's so fun too. Have you noticed when you go to Sephora versus Olive Young has supplements. They have feminine care. They have everything you need.
So, since the sunscreen isn't yours, are you working on another product? Oral sunblock?
Oh, I wish. Oh my gosh, I wish.
Because
Actually,
oral
Paige,
sunblock is the best,
great
especially
idea.
living in the tropics.
Wait, is there such a thing that exists already?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Does it work?
I've climbed Kilimanjaro 3 times, and the last 2 times I've used it, and I think it really, really helps.
Paige, we need to talk.
Yeah.
I actually have never heard of oral sunblock, but that sounds amazing. A couple of projects underway, but again, I think the content creation world specifically is kind of like the Wild West. There's a lot of people in the industry that see an opportunity to take advantage, and a lot of people who are doing really honest, amazing hard work. And I think that I've learned the hard way a couple times, and hopefully can help others navigate through that. So projects in the works, not anything like oral sunblock, but that actually sounds amazing.
Maybe it's a new path. You never
Yeah.
know. And it could all be from passing the power. So I've heard you say that skincare should be a choice, not a chore.
It's a bit of a chore if you don't love the products or if you're not getting the right outcome, right? Or same with makeup. I used to feel like I had to apply makeup to cover my acne every day. I had to apply makeup before a casting call so that I would get the job as a model. But where is that joy in trying a new color changing blush, learning the chemistry of this product, how it works on the skin? What are those things you love to do, Paige? You love hiking Kilimanjaro. Is that a choice? Is
For
that
sure.
a chore?
Yeah,
Right? That's
no.
a choice, right?
It's a joy.
Exactly. It's a joy. And so how do we turn something like hygiene or food, nutrition, how do we turn that into a joy? Exercise. Like some people would look at that and say, exercise? Oh, that's a chore. And you're like, no, this is
No,
a
I love it.
choice.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how do we do that through skincare, which is a form of healthcare? And I see it as hygiene.
I wonder if you can share one of your favorite fan encounters with us.
One of my favorite fan encounters was one of the worst, and it was kind of a note on authenticity. This was at the time that I drove my parents' vehicle, and it was right after I had been on Good Morning America and Anderson Cooper, where my biggest insecurity was shown to the entire world. I was sick, I was vomiting, I was under the weather, and my parents needed me to put gas in the car so that they could go somewhere. And I was basically in my pajamas, going to the store, buying Pepto-Bismol for my tummy troubles and pumping gas. And all of a sudden I hear this girl scream. And I thought, I hope no one's being kidnapped at the gas station. 2 teenage girls come screaming out of the car and they're like, "You're Cassandra." I'm looking around, I'm like, wait, me? My hair's a mess. I look terrible, right? Traditionally terrible. And these young girls started sharing with me that they watched my videos, that it taught them how to do makeup and skincare, and that they get blemishes too, but they don't hate it anymore because they saw that they could enjoy this process. And here I am, sick as a dog, and these girls are still excited to see me. Not because of the way I look, but because of the way I helped them feel. And that's their story, but I got to play a part in it. Oh my God, it changed my life, and it made me realize what I look like has no impact on how I can positively enhance this world. I think it's life-changing.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
And that's
Paige,
what you're
yeah.
empowering people with. I love
hope
that.
so.
As I stalked you for this talk, you are unbelievably prolific. Which platforms perform best for you? And how big is that team that's making the $1 million that you talked about before?
First off, Paige, thank you so much for saying that, especially coming from someone who has interviewed and sat down with some of the most amazing and empowering people. What a compliment. Thank you. YouTube is our best platform. I think it's the one that I love the most. It's where I started, and it's where people actually come to have a conversation. Have you ever noticed, like, you could scroll on TikTok and Instagram Reels, and you have to look at your phone, you're like, which app am I on? I have to check. I don't even know. YouTube, people actually come for those long-term stories.
Are you doing anything on Snapchat? Because I had someone on the other day and they were saying that Snapchat's really monetizing now.
Paige, great question. Snapchat has one of the highest CPMs, cost per million, but how many people watch this content and how much do I get paid? I can't say any official numbers, but some people have Snapchat CPMs that are $5, $10, $14. Imagine $14, $20 for every 1,000 people that watch that. And if you're getting millions of views, that's adding up. For us, we're not on Snapchat. The reason why is because when I go on Snapchat, I'm served a lot of ads that are not necessarily safe for work. Doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just stuff that we have a harder time putting our core values into and operating under. And so while we've tried Snapchat, we haven't found something that sticks, that audience wants to watch. It's a challenge. I like a challenge, but we're not on it because we haven't cracked that code just yet. If anyone has suggestions.
But I think that's also a really good point for someone who is doing content creation, is just because it's there and it's monetizing well, if it doesn't work for you, you don't just jump on. Quick question. I saw that you're on Amazon Shop.
Yes.
Is that something you would encourage for content creators to do? And if so, why?
Great question. Amazon is one of those things where we had to make a decision. I don't believe that Amazon is the most ethical company out there, but I do appreciate that they've committed to climate pledges, that they've committed to, they have like a thank you program for some of their drivers where you can actually tip your driver $5. It's nothing on you. Amazon just does it. I've seen many problems, but I've also seen them try to do better.
There was a quote on your website, which I really loved, and I want to share. Our value is not defined by our proximity to luxury brands. A high value person has a positive impact on those around them and is beautiful inside and out. And I thought that I loved it. And I think because of the world we live in and FOMO, everybody thinks because it's a luxury brand, it's got to be better. And for you to say, actually, the beauty is inside. I thought that was wonderful.
Thank you, Paige. I think it's also a testament to that feeling that I had as a model with acne. When my makeup was done, when I was photoshopped literally on a billboard or in a magazine, everyone loved me. But in school, I'm being called freak of nature. I'm hurting myself and picking at my skin. I hate who I am. How am I supposed to live with those two identities? How am I supposed to feel beautiful? If you're buying the fancy luxury item because it resonates with you, because you love the designer, because it's truly a quality you can't get anywhere else, go for it. But you are a luxury in and of yourself, regardless of what you're wearing or using.
Do you have a dream collaboration?
Honestly, I think a dream collaboration is what we're planning in the future with skin scholarships, with skin stories, and being able to work with the real women, the real people that inspire me every day.
Is there any skincare or skinfluencer or beauty influencer out there who you think I would love to do something with them?
Ooh, okay. A couple that come to mind that I really respect and I've had the honor of meeting. One is Dr. Dre. She's absolutely amazing. One of my favorite people. She's a little spicy. She's a little harsh, and I love it. Randy Zuckerberg. A lot of people hear the last name Zuckerberg and they have an opinion on what that means. She's a theater kid at heart. She's a mom. She's an artist. And she is such a genuine soul. And in the encounters that I've had with her, I'm just blown away by how down to earth she is.
A couple final questions. There's so much skincare out there. There's so much beauty out there. When a person walks in, how can they cut out the noise?
Amazing question, Paige. It also goes back to social media as a filter, right? I think some of the biggest things that people can do at home is, number one, find those people who can act as your filters. There's so much noise. Who are the people that have the credentials that you trust? Number two, know what you know what you don't know. And if you want to go figure that out or if you don't. If you know what your blind spots are, you can be more aware of. And then lastly, I would say look at reviews. I think it is harder and harder to find honest reviews because there are things like robots writing reviews or people scamming reviews. But in general, if you see a person with no filter on holding up a product saying this worked or this sucked, or if you look at an Amazon review and it has a video attached, that's a pretty surefire way to see other people's experiences and to vet them.
For a content creator, what is your one piece of advice for that aspiring creator? What do they need to do?
The one piece for an aspiring creator that everyone else shares is be yourself. I see it as a Venn diagram. Right here is what you love. Hiking Kilimanjaro, fashion, speaking to other empowering women, right? And then right over here is what you're good at. You're an expert. You've studied. You're educated in these 5 areas. Where is that overlap of what you love versus what you know? That gives you this unique slice in the middle that is uniquely you. Nobody else can replicate it. And you can talk about that for hours because you love it and you know about it. That right there is what you should focus on.
That's your niche.
That's your niche. And that's what's hard is everyone says, be you. If I were to be me, I'd be telling you about my chickens. I'd be telling you about life, you know, my drama. But doesn't necessarily mean that that's what other people need to hear, what's helpful for them or what they want. So instead, I'm going to say, that's great, but I'm going to focus on what I love and what I know and give people something that will give them lasting value. So always think, what is the value that you provide from those two sides?
Last question. What are you going to be doing at age 60?
I hope to be just as active. I hope to be continually building. I hope to be tearing apart industries from the inside out and getting people to think differently. But who knows? I'll roll with the punches. I'll ride the waves.
I have no doubt you will continue to say yes to life.
Thank you, Paige. I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hike Kilimanjaro together.
Why not?
You need to train me.
I'll be 60 in 5 years. I'm 55.
Gosh, amazing.
So maybe it's 60.
Yeah,
I've only done it
amazing.
4 times, so.
4 times. Have you ever done Everest?
I haven't. I've been to base camp.
Okay. Do you want to do Everest or not really?
There was a time, but now it's more like next life.
Okay. Understood. How would you describe base camp at Everest versus Kilimanjaro?
There's something about Kili that just, it touches my soul.
It's amazing.
And it's also a cleaner climb because so many tourists going up, such an impact on what it does to the mountain.
What was your routine like climbing Kilimanjaro? Did you bring products with you? Was it just the oral sunscreen? What was it?
Yes, I had products for sure. I always washed my face in the morning and before I slept at night. And I had lots and lots of sunscreen, hats covering the face because the sun, you're so high and you get above the clouds. So you really have to take care of your skin. So yeah, there's something about it that calls me back again and again. And I find myself wanting to do it again. My 15-year-old did it with me, and she says she wants to go back. My 20-year-old did it with me, and she said, Mama, I'm never climbing another mountain.
And isn't that amazing? That feeling of confidence and empowerment and success came from something that has nothing to do with the skin. Like, you're an amazing parent. And the fact that you're able to give that to your daughters.
Well, it's too early to celebrate, but so far so good. But I've loved our talk. You were inspiring. I love so many of your answers. I have new people to follow. I feel like you really did an extraordinary job of passing the power. And for people who want to learn about skincare and be educated by someone who's truly knowledgeable, look no further.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, Paige, thank you so much. And maybe now that you've graced me with the opportunity here, maybe I get to look at your skincare routine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. We'll see you on the internet.
Hey, Power Tribe. Thanks for watching, listening, and yes, subscribing. Hopefully, we've elevated your day, since that's our aim on Pass the Power. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Recording and exploring content creation in LA with Gush Cloud for this new season was nothing short of epic, both entertaining and enlightening. I hope you agree. Or not. Let me know how you feel for real. Your feedback fuels our journey. Drop me an email at pp@paigeparker.com. If you want more behind-the-scenes magic, follow at Paige Parker on Instagram and TikTok. And please visit gushcloud.com for more information on my production partner. Let's keep the good vibes flowing while we pass the power, one episode at a time.